If your best friend was autistic, but they hadn't told you, how would you know? I've seen variations on that question on the internet for years, and more recently, in the comments on my videos, and even been asked face to face. I'm Quinn, and I've been a few people's autistic best friend over the years. Welcome to Autistic. So, you want to know if your best friend is autistic? If you are autistic yourself, you probably wouldn't need my help for this, so it's a good bet that you're not autistic like I am. Statistically though, 2/3 of my regular viewers are autistic, and they'll be watching this too. Amongst those are people who've never had a neurotypical friend, and some who've never known any real friendship at all. That makes me sad. Because if there's one thing I've learned in decades of meeting and getting to know other autists, is autistic people can make the best friends. So, let me tell you a little bit about autistic friendship from the autistic friend's point of view. This doesn't just come from me, because it's a topic that comes up with practically every autist with whom I've enjoyed friendship, companionship, or just a ruddy good yarn about things. By the end of this video, I do hope you'll be closer to knowing if your friend is autistic or not. But whatever you discover, I also hope you'll have a better idea of just what having an autistic friend means, and a taste of just how precious that relationship can be. Let's start with one of the easy ones.
Well, they kind of look different to my other friends.
Okay. Sorry to all the autistic viewers currently scoffing at the screen thinking, not this again, I know this bit, but bear with me here. The idea that there's some kind of look to autistic folks has thankfully started to die out, but there is some truth to the idea that we might stand out from some of our peers because of our fashion sensibility, or sometimes lack of. I'm not talking about fashion in the teen movie sense here. I knew a fair few autistic goths when I was younger, mainly because I was one. But that doesn't suggest that the goth look is an autistic look. Many of us find a home in fringe cultures and dress accordingly for a while, but even so, our dress sense can be visibly different because we prefer wearing practical, sensory-friendly clothes over fashionable ones. You know, that jumper that we never take off? The one you worry how we'll cope when it wears out, and the trousers that don't quite fit properly but have all those pockets? Take a look in our wardrobes and see how many duplicates of that outfit we have lined up there. So, if you're telling me that your friend looks different, I'll need a bit more info.
No, I meant in person. They're fidgety and they don't look at people when they're talking to them.
Well, that could be an indicator that they're autistic, but it's also just something people do when they're nervous or uncertain. It's true that lots of us find eye contact awkward and we fidget, or stim as we call it, but faking eye contact is one of the most common techniques used to mask ourselves.
Sorry, what does stim mean?
It's shorthand for self-stimulation. Stims are what people do when they're anxious, worried, or thinking about something, which might be why your friend seems fidgety all the time. You know how people chew pens when they're concentrating or tap their feet when they're impatient? They're stims that everybody does. I wish it weren't true, but most autistic people experience a great deal more anxiety just leading an everyday existence than even our closest neurotypical friends realise. We also have to think a lot harder when in social situations. In other words, when our friends will most likely see us the most, so it's quite likely that they'll see or hear us stim. If your friend always fidgets more when there are other people around or in loud, busy environments, then yes, it might be a sign they're autistic. But again, it's something many of us are conscious of, so we mask our stims.
Yeah, that was the other thing you said, masking. What's that?
Masking is exactly what it sounds like. You know how you make sure to look busy and watch your P's and Q's when the boss is around? People in a panic shutting down any emails marked NSFW. Yeah? That's masking. That's pretending to be an upstanding, hard-working employee who agrees entirely with the company line and wouldn't dream of giggling at the world's most embarrassing wardrobe failures during work hours. At least not while the boss is watching. Autistic people learn very young, with or without a diagnosis, that allowing people to see our natural selves leads to trouble, and so we start camouflaging ourselves, learning to blend in to protect us from danger. Some of us get very good at it, and it's often blamed for the huge disparity in diagnosis rates between boys and girls. Girls are supposedly better at masking than boys, though as time goes on, that idea of there being a female and a male presentation of autism is looking increasingly shaky. Okay, so none of that is strong evidence as yet. So what else makes you think that your friend might be autistic?
Well, I've never met anyone even close to being as much of a nerd.
Okay. Well, if somebody calls me a nerd, I usually point out its origins in the Old English phrase, ne'er-do-well. Does your friend do that? No? Well, I guess you mean nerd in the more modern sense of the word then. I'm not going to pretend there aren't a fair few autistic nerds out there. The idea that autists are computer whizzes, sci-fi nerds, and good at maths is a stereotype with some basis in fact, but only a tenuous one. It's fair to say that if you throw a tennis ball into the crowd at a Star Trek convention, there's a 50-50 chance you'll hit an autist. But the same could be said of most enthusiast conventions. What you're actually talking about is special interests, which can seem quite nerdy, if only because of how much they interest us. That's why you'll find us concentrated at sci-fi conventions and branches of Games Workshop, but also classic car meets, baking contests, martial arts classes and football matches. Places where people who are really interested in something gather together to share their passion. It's that level of passion that marks someone out as possibly autistic, way more than what they're passionate about.
Okay, so what about the social things? They never even want to go out these days.
Okay, now we're getting on to firmer ground. Like everything autistic, there are exceptions to the rule. But as a typical average autist, I would always far rather meet with my friend at a coffee shop or pub, or even better, meet them at one of our homes instead. And I'm always far happier when it's just them and me. If there's other people there, it gets too hard. You see, for us autistic peeps, social occasions usually get worse the more people there are, up to a point. Eventually, when there's enough people, groups start to split off into separate conversations, so it gets a little better. But up to that point, when everyone's joining in the conversation, I'm like a deer in the headlights then. You see, I have to work way harder to understand and manage social situations than my neurotypical friends do. If you're my best friend, then I know you really well. I've taken time to learn about your strengths and weaknesses, your likes and dislikes, and the language you like to use. I've adapted to your needs and peculiarities, and crucially, I'm comfortable with you. I can manage the one-to-one dynamic relatively easily, and without having to calculate anything new or unusual. We've a shorthand now that allows me to better anticipate you and makes for a close and mutually beneficial friendship. When we introduce someone else into the mix, we don't just double the effort for me, though. Even if I know the other person pretty well, I don't know them remotely as well as my best friend, so the work I need to put in with them is much harder. As more people join, my workload increases exponentially, unless it reaches that critical mass when we split into groups and things ease off a bit. Even then, I might end up with strangers and start overloading, so a simple one-on-one on safe familiar ground is almost always my preferred choice. If I was your friend, I'd probably be far less keen on a night out with the lads than I would a quiet pint down at the Horse and Groom. I'd be more relaxed then and enjoy myself more in just your company, talking about things that interest us both and sharing our honest, unfiltered feelings. I'd enjoy the camaraderie and the shared experience in a way that I can truly appreciate. When more people enter the mix, the social demands skyrocket, the sensory burden piles on, and my sense of enjoying the occasion is lost. But because of that hardwired preference for one-to-one over big groups, we're often very loyal friends too. It's not unusual for an autist to have a friend, if they have any friends at all, rather than a broad circle of friends. Not all autists, no, but on the whole, an autistic friend treated right can be the most loyal, trustworthy and honest friend you could hope to have. The same qualities that get written off as rigidity or black and white thinking often translate into tremendous loyalty to those we care about and a profound desire to make those people happy. We get so much value from our friendship with you, and we want to show it. We might even go over the top sometimes, but you're never in doubt about how we feel. My best indicator of whether your best friend is autistic is just how much of a best friend they are. When someone autistic makes a friend, especially a best friend, it means something really important to us. You're more than a buddy, a mate, a pal or a chum. You're one of very few, maybe the only person we feel we can trust, and you account for most, maybe all, of our social connection. It's a huge privilege, but also a solemn responsibility. If you're not autistic yourself, but your friend has shown you immense loyalty and seems to always prefer your company to that of others, then I might start wondering if they're autistic. But that leads me to a question of my own. Why haven't you asked them yet? It's a fair question, I think. But I think we both know why you're watching a YouTube video instead of going out there and asking. There's only 3 reasons why someone might not want to say they're autistic. 1, they're not autistic. 2, they are autistic but they don't know themselves. Or 3, they know they're autistic but they haven't told you. And it's that third possibility that probably irritates you. Nobody likes the idea of a friend keeping secrets, but tell me, when you clicked on this video, were you thinking, I think my friend is autistic and this video might help me understand them better? Or was the question in your mind more like, should I tell my friend I think they're autistic? You're worried about it backfiring on you, that you might mess up your friendship and you'd be the chump, so you want to make sure you know what you're talking about. Well, you already know the answer to that one, don't you? The reason you're afraid to ask is the same reason I'm making videos about autism and why, if your friend is autistic, they haven't told you yet. Things are way better for autistic folks than when I was first diagnosed 40 years ago. But the words autism and autistic still carry a horrible, undeserved social stigma that people like me have to overcome with each new person we meet. Want proof? Well, why are you afraid your friend might get offended if you suggest they come across as maybe being a bit autistic? I can help you out here, though. If you really think your friend might be autistic but you don't feel confident to ask them, I can tell you a risk-free way to find out for sure, but it'll take you a couple of hours at least, maybe more if you get into it. Go watch the Autistic Primer playlist I've linked above and in the description. It's a selection of videos I've made over the last few years that I think, put together, make a pretty good introduction to the world of autism and autistic people. If you don't like me, then look for some other autistic YouTuber or blogger who does float your boat. The important thing is that you spend at least a few hours learning about what the world looks like from an autistic viewpoint. Not non-autistic experts or science presenters, actual, real-life, living and breathing autistic people. You'll never know if your friend is autistic until you know what autism really is, not in the textbook or medical journal sense, but real-life, everyday living. You know, the life we live outside controlled lab conditions. Now, when you've digested it, go tell your friend about what you were watching or reading, what you've learned about autistic people that you never knew before, and how it's helped you understand us and our lives better. What you'll actually be doing is offering an olive branch of sorts, showing that you're interested and care about autistic people without pointing fingers or asking for direct answers. It's just you, matter-of-factly bringing up something interesting you found on the internet. If they're autistic and they see that you're taking a genuine interest in caring about who they are, you'll be making a huge gesture towards earning their trust. Not that common or garden trust you already know, but that depth of unwavering trust and faith you get from someone who is completely invested in your friendship. Once you've earned that, they'll likely tell you what you want to know without you ever having to ask. If they're not autistic, then it's just a conversation starter, which might get a few more people asking similar questions to the one that brought you here. Then I'll get a chance to open up a few more eyes and help make it easier for everyone to make friends with anyone, whether they're autistic or not. I'm Quinn, and I'm autistic. Thank you for watching. If you've already liked and subscribed and would like to support the channel more, then please follow the Patreon links in the description to pledge what you feel is fair and affordable to help keep the lights on here and the content keep flowing.